we go to the aforementioned MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline, where we find the head football coach of the LaBrae Vikings, Mr. John Armeni. Coach Armeni, how are you today, sir?
Not too bad. How about yourself, Ron?
I can't complain. I mean, if you would have heard or spoken to me a month before the start of the high school football season, I would have told you there's no way we're playing high school football. Governor DeWine will shut this thing down, and everyone's going to be mad. But that's what's going to happen. Did you get a sense that we weren't going to have a football season, or did you believe all along that somehow, some way, we'd have high school football?
You know, there were lots of times where I wasn't real sure. And if you think about it in context, that Ohio State, you know, one of the premier programs in the entire country, isn't planning on playing football, but we are in the same state. It's, you know, no small miracle that we're able to have a season right now.
Yeah, no question. And what was it like? I mean, you've got about 40 kids out for football. How? Tell me how it went about, where you and your coaching staff were able to keep the kids' interest and keep the kids updated and keep them focused as we were just hanging on the governor's every word for about a month or so there.
You know, it was pretty difficult. The kids have been pretty good, though. You know, they've been anxious to get going, and they've been working really hard. You know, I think that the hardest part of it has been all the added work for coaches and athletic directors around the valley, you know, with trying to, use all these protocols and still put out a product, you know. So it's been pretty difficult with all the extra work that we've created for ourselves with, you know, having to have the kids be so far apart. You know, in football, you know, they get together a lot, especially when there's big plays or, when they get excited. You know, so every time a big play happens, you got coaches over there trying to, spread them, apart. When kids come off and on the sideline, they got to wear masks. All this stuff with fans and being able to, socially distance in the stands and wear masks and having limited capacity. So it's created a lot of work for everybody. But like I said, we're just really happy to be able to play some football so the kids, have some type of season.
42-21 in Campbell last week. You get a victory over the Red Devils. And talk a little bit about the performance in week number 1 from your Vikings squad.
You know, I thought it was a pretty good game given the circumstances of having to come back on Saturday morning. You know, our guys were kind of locked in and ready to go Friday night, and to have to burst their bubble and get back on a bus after playing for just a few minutes, I wasn't sure that they'd have the mental toughness, because we have a pretty young squad. But to get back on the bus and go Saturday morning on a business trip and take care of Campbell, which is a very good, young, and very physical football team, I was pretty proud.
Let's talk a little bit about your quarterback. The last name Stevens, for the last 5 or so years, it's been synonymous with outstanding football. Older brother Tyler, he's playing football at the University of Buffalo. Well, I mean, he's not this year because the MAC is shut down, but Tyler Stevens is at the University of Buffalo. Aidan Stevens is your junior quarterback. Tell us a little bit about young Aidan Stevens.
Well, I wish they would have had more kids. I tell Tony and his wife, Christine, they should have had more kids. We might have a better chance of keeping this going a little longer if they had more kids. But, Aiden's a special talent, a dual-threat kid at quarterback, human highlight reel. So we expect big things from him. And the bigger the game, the more excited he gets. So that's nice to see that he's got that maturity to show up in big moments. So he had a big game, and, hopefully he's got a few more in the tank here for us as we go into the league play.
Well, Coach, anytime that you can hand the ball off to a really good running back in Devin Carter, it's an A-plus feather in the cap of the quarterback if he has a great running back. And Carter is all that in a bag of chips, over 1,500 yards with 16 touchdowns, 8.7 yards per carry as a sophomore. You get this kid for 2 more years, Coach.
Yeah, and you know what? I said this earlier in the spring, too. He had no offseason the year before, so he did 1,500 yards, on an ACL surgery, wasn't cleared until June. So he's only scratching the surface of what he's capable of. And every week it seems like he gets a little bigger, a little faster, a little stronger, and a little bit more motivated to do special things. We have a good group of guys there, most of them juniors, so they'll be around for a while. They help take pressure off each other. Like you were saying, the pressure's not all on Aidan. He's got other guys he can lean on. Devin is one. Trayvon Drake is another. We got some other special receivers that we think are going to, show up big time, and Ashton Dunbar and J.J. Jethro. So we got a kind of a good committee here. They're still young. They're still, learning the nuances of our scheme and figuring out how to compete on Friday nights. But we're pretty excited.
Coach, if Stevens is synonymous to great football, so is Drake. You mentioned Trayvon Drake. His older brother, Tyreek Drake, now a safety at Ohio University. Again, not playing this year because the MAC is shut down, but Tyreek was able to go to OU. Trayvon Drake, again, a junior, part of that sensational junior class that you guys have. There are plenty of names, last names of the present and immediate past that are still there at LaBrae that makes this Vikings team fun to watch.
Yeah, and it's a special thing for our program, and these younger guys want to top what their older brothers did, and if they're able to accomplish that, that'd be just fine by us. So it creates a lot of competition. They want to have bragging rights at the family table. And those older guys did some special things here. So these younger guys have their work cut out for them, but they're highly motivated.
Speaking of bragging rights, it seems the bragging rights of the MVAC greats here might be happening on Friday night. You guys open up your home portion of the season against the team that wound up winning the division last year in Brookfield. And I know last year's loss to Brookfield still stings. Warriors beating you guys 49-28. As you prepare for Brookfield this week, what is the pulse been like at LaBrae? What are the practices been like as you're now in Brookfield week?
We tried to make them a little extra physical, a little harder than maybe what our average week looks like. And I've told the kids all week long, this is the litmus test. Brookfield is the standard in this league, and they have been during my tenure here at LaBrae. When we're good, we take care of business against them, and when we need to do work, they show us what we need to work on. And I can't say enough about what Coach Clark does over there. Those kids, on Saturday morning into Monday the next week, that you were in a battle Friday night. And that's what we want our kids to emulate. That's what we preach to our kids. We want to be that standard. We want to be that tough game that opponents don't want to play because they know they're going to be beat up over the weekend. So we tried to make it a little tougher to simulate what they're going to see Friday night.
It's turning into a very physical conference, the grade tier. I mean, you guys played against a very young and physical team in Campbell. More of the same Friday night when you play Brookfield. I know when you guys head down to Crestview and their brand new turf surface, Crestview is very physical, and Champion, who knocked off Crestview, will be waiting in the wings on September the 18th. Very quietly, the Mahoning Valley Athletic Conference grade tier has stepped up and become a really good conference early on this year.
I think that in my 8 years here, without a doubt, this is the best that this conference has looked top to bottom. It's the most talented it's been. It's as deep as it's been, and really there are lots of toss-up football games, pending on the week, pending on the health, pending on the circumstances. And I think a lot of what you just mentioned, too, those are a lot of tough head football coaches. Randy Clark is a tough guy. Paul Cusick is a tough guy. Tim McGlenn's a tough guy. I think that what you're starting to see is teams are emulating their head coaches' personalities, which I think is a good thing. I think that that's going to create a physical, good football.
John, before we let you go, I noticed the October the 2nd, it was not filled when the Tribune Chronicles football preview came out. Do you guys have an opponent for the 6th week?
We do. We picked up Conneaut right before the season started. So we will travel to Conneaut on October 2nd.
That's a good non-conference game, and again, you'll have 5 games in the grade tier to prepare yourself, and Conneaut's a non-conference game. LaBrae, a D6 program this year. This is a good schedule to get you ready for a postseason, and knock on wood, hopefully we have a postseason this year because everyone going into the postseason, this could be a lot of fun.
it's a little bit different of a mentality knowing that you're already in. Normally you obsess over getting the hard-won points, with the matchups and winning the right games. And I think now it's about making sure that you mature a little bit differently, that you're peaking at that time and not so much worrying about the things in between. So it's a little bit different. I think that's probably what baseball and basketball coaches do. I can't say that I'm a fan that everybody's getting in. I like the old school mentality. I wasn't a fan when they went from 4 to 8 teams, in the regions. And now it's 8 to 12, and this year everybody gets in. But, again, under the circumstances, just pretty happy that we're playing football.
Is your coaching changing, knowing that your team is going to go into the playoffs, whether you're 6-0 or 1-5, because you did win your first game? Does your coaching change from here on out because of that?
I think 100% it does. One of the things that we've always done is really push our kids to be tough and to work through injuries. I think one of the things that we're already doing this year is trying to be a little bit more patient with those things. Not necessarily making kids go when, they're kind of on the tweener of being able to play or not play, because knowing that you don't have to win to get in, the pressure's kind of off in that sense. So I think that you'll see a lot of schools be a little bit more, liberal with keeping guys on the sidelines, not necessarily forcing them back out there.
Hey, Coach, always a pleasure. Look forward to seeing you guys come down to Crestview next Friday. I'll be calling that game. And have fun against Brookfield. That's a great test for you guys on Friday nights. Best of luck in that game.
All right, thanks, Ron.
You got it. John Armeni, the head football coach of the LaBrae Vikings.